Hello, folks. Thanks for tuning in. The following is an interview that I did with Dale Brown of Threat Management Center in Detroit this past week. As always, I learned some things from this interview, and I expect you will too. Dale is an innovator, a man on a mission of a labor of love. But he starts off by recognizing that many of us have been taught and conditioned with a great deal of falsehoods. Recognizing the reality of the past will help us with the future. Dale may say some controversial things and hard things to swallow, but I'd suggest that if something triggers you, you look further. There is much to learn. The bottom line with Dale is violence is a loss for everyone, and preventing violence and harm from the very beginning gives everyone a better chance and even reduces the need for government. I've broken this into three parts so it's easier to produce and hopefully view. Please forgive my interviewing and video editing skills. I'm a bit of a beginner, so, bear with me. However, even still, I think there's some gold in here, so please enjoy. And, like the European descent, I think is probably very small.
Okay. Well, indigenous would be, people of that region, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about the Indian people?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
so how do they treat the people that are not Indian?
I guess is a.
The native indigenous people, how do they treat the people that are not from there?
I don't know. I've never been there myself, but we've
Oh,
got, one of our group, Paul, has been living in there for 5 months, and he seems to have been welcomed with open arms. And we
hmm
seem to have a very good relationship between the two communities. Us being here in Acapulco, and they're very excited about all the things that we're trying to help them with. But we're trying to like introduce some of the outside technology and stuff, and some of the anarchists and people that have ideas and stuff. We're trying to integrate those into their to help them with their community, build and develop their community so that they can exist without intimidation. There's all kinds of different ways that can take place. But I don't want to I don't want to dwell on that too much,
interesting.
because
Yeah.
what we were trying to talk about was how you've created some solutions for people
Yeah.
in Detroit, that
Yes.
use your
Well,
services. And
hmm
I think one of the
well,
things that appeals to me is how you're effectively saying to people, use your mind and take on your own responsibility for your security, and there's all kinds of different ways that can come about. But effectively, what a community of people of those kind of with that kind of mindset do is they bring not only security but also prosperity.
okay. So, yeah. So here's the thing. Whoever has the most babies on the block will become the ruler of the block. So you don't really want that.
Yeah.
So, for example, if someone has six brothers and four sisters, and your mom only has two,
Yeah.
obviously you will be subjected to abuses, and that you will not be you will not do well. And so that's why we have a society that's based on laws, not based on democracy. Because the democracy, for example, even on the block, is devastating, and
Yeah.
has nothing to do with skin color. It's just
Yeah.
fantasy. Um, so if you, so what you're about to see is the reality of a traumatized group of people that were traumatized for hundreds of years that continue to be traumatized, and now they're in the media, and you're seeing the results of, trauma,
Yeah.
and then saying, okay, why are there problems, right? And I'll tell you what else is traumatic: when you watch people get burned and cooked and lynched because your
Yeah.
parents did that to people because they had brown skin. Now imagine
Yeah.
all those Americans that saw that across this country and all these different abuses. How would those people be okay? Right? Just because the European Americans, they watch these horrible events unfold wouldn't mean that they're okay. So you're talking about a traumatized population of people that really need a lot of psychological assistance to understand what's right and what's wrong as a group. Otherwise, we'll degenerate into different tribes that will create some kind of false narratives to, ultimately kill people for some, noble reason. My point is that, and this is where I started my organization from, you need to look at all people as your extended family. Stop looking at people for in any other way. So if you look at everyone as a human member of your family, right, it makes the way to answer questions and the way to treat people very, very simple. What would you do if that was your family member? If you just do that, I promise you 9 out of 10 of our problems just go away.
Yeah.
Stop acting like you're different. Stop acting like you are special. Stop acting like these people are inferior or insignificant. And once you realize that all people are part of your human family, you'll just find that everything works itself out.
Yeah.
So that being said, what I did was I looked at all people as family. And I said, it doesn't matter who you are or how you are. My objective is to make sure you don't get raped, robbed, or killed. And I wanted to teach people how to do that for themselves only at first. I thought that's all they needed. And I taught them how to call the police, how to, utilize police services appropriately, how to explain things and articulate things to police. What I found out later was that was not the case. That was not what was needed. What's needed is actual protection. Police are law enforcement officers. That means they enforce laws. That means that once laws are broken, there is the potential for the officers to engage and enforce those laws. And that's what they're paid for. Okay, now, law enforcement is not protection. Protection is what happens before laws are broken, before you enforce any laws. You can't ask police to go do some protection, which is not law enforcement. Because that's what they hired. They were hired to be law enforcers. And you need that. You need someone to enforce the law. You don't want to sit in court. You don't want to learn how to process people and prosecute them. And you don't want a system that doesn't have an actual prosecution of people. You hate that. You hate that unless it's, especially if it's you, right? You want due process. So that would take education, which police officers have a system that they were trained in, 5.5 months of training, which is woefully less than they should have, but at least they have some, right? Most of them. Not all police, of course, attend any training whatsoever, because that's not required in our country. Although most police do attend training, they do not have to. So you'll find constables and other places in small jurisdictions that don't have any training, just to be clear. So people get confused. They think it's like, you went to this national police academy and then you got your license to be a national police officer. That's not true. Some places just simply establish that this town agrees that this person is now their constable, their sheriff, their police officer, whatever. They don't, The reason why you go to the academy is to help your city, your town, your municipality protect itself from lawsuits, essentially is what it's for, right? And understand legal process by which you do things. Otherwise, you can be sued and, lose all your town's money or all your city's money. So that being said, the purpose of my organization was to provide people with education.
Yeah.
Okay. So I thought I'd make money in the suburbs once I showed people that it works in the cities, right? That was the business side of this. Then I found out that people needed protection, so I started going to the rich people, and I said, listen, I need legal rights to protect your buildings, and I'll get people to volunteer to protect the building in exchange for an apartment. Give me a place to teach out of one of your buildings, and I live there in the neighborhood.
Yeah. And
this is on the east side of Detroit, a place they called Crack Alley. They have 300 calls a month, and there was a murder every month. And when I mentioned to one of these very wealthy building owners, hey, we need to help the families. They're getting robbed. They're getting attacked. He said, no, good luck with that. And I hope you help your people well, because now, mind you, there is different people in this community. There's it's not just one group of people. So this concept that, there's one group is crazy anyway. So anyway, he says, I'm not willing to invest or do anything to protect the families that are paying me rent every month. We're talking about 1,000 people, paying him in these buildings, over 1,000. And he just doesn't care. He said, I've been here owning buildings since the 60s. What is it that you can do that the Detroit Police Department can't do? Why would you want me to invest in something, invest in you and whatever, and give you some kind of job or anything protecting when the police can't do it.
Yeah.
I said, just give me 6 months. I know you lost $60,000 just last month because people moved out after a murder. Every month there's a murder.
Yeah.
And home invasions, I didn't know this at the time, but they were every day. So I stopped all the home invasions and all the murders from the day I started. He gave me the deal, and I became security for the buildings. I got volunteers from the neighborhoods to actually go into the buildings, live there for free. These are $750 a month apartments. They got them for free. No utilities, no bills, no nothing. And I didn't have any money myself. I literally, the guy gave me $2,000 a month, right? Which was, I thought I was rich. Yeah. But once I started paying bills, I realized that was nothing. So I was like, wow, I'm really starving still. And I have $2,000 a month. I am officially wealthy. And so as a mogul, I decided I was going to have to think better. But I was really focused on one thing, and that was providing safety for the families. And I was very proud because we stopped all the home invasions and murders. The police department responded very positively eventually. At first, the lower level officers were problematic, but the administrators saw that their numbers, the 911 calls and the crimes in the community went down dramatically. So the administrator, the commander, the administrators in law enforcement in our particular precinct, they said, which is hundreds of thousands of people, said, okay, whatever they're doing, we're going to keep that going. Whatever this group is doing, just don't interfere with them. And because they're not getting any complaints either. So we're stopping violence, but we're not creating complaints. In other words, there's no lawsuits. There's no injuries and deaths. So whatever's going on here, let's keep that going. Next thing you know, their not just their crime rate went down, but the businesses began to prosper. So they went down from 300 911 calls a month to my 30, because I was always calling the police, right? So we got about 30 calls a month.
Okay.
They had 300 a month before, right? The precinct commander got the credit for that, for the drop in 911 calls in his precinct, and the crime dropped dramatically. So you're talking about violence gone from this, this 1 square block, which was the most violent area in the city of Detroit. They called it Crack Alley. And this is because you had a lot of transient people and there was, no protection. So imagine you had 1,000 people and you had, 100 criminals, not even 100. It was maybe it was like 50 criminals at the most out of 1,000 people. Okay. And 1,000 families, you had 50, let's say 50 residents out of 1,000 residents where it's actually, some type of criminal activity. So, you're talking about 50 people terrorizing, essentially 1,000 people. And what I did was I made it so they could not terrorize. And I created conditions psychologically that made them believe that there's no opportunity here. And I changed them psychologically. And so the physical aspects were not required because I made them believe something. So we used psychology to trick the criminals into believing that the area is not appropriate for them.
Dale, so you said those 50 criminals, were those people that ended up going to jail, or did they actually find some other alternatives?
No, they went to crime other places. They're not gonna. Yeah, crime is not related to economics, in case you're thinking that. I hope you're not thinking that. So poor people are not criminal. There's no such thing as a poor. There's no correlation between poorness and crime. Okay. That's a total. In fact, it's definitely not violent. So there's definitely all the most violent people you ever heard of are wealthier people with education. So let's be clear. There's never been a poor person from an orphanage that went to a mall or college and shot all the other kids. Let's be clear, that never happened. There's 108 HBCUs. You know what HBCU is?
No, I can't say I do off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
Okay, there's 108 currently operating historically black colleges and universities in the United States. 108. There used to be more. So this is where the slave captives, the Americans of African captive heritage descendants went to college. Okay, at these
Yeah, well,
colleges,
I'm
but you
I'm
couldn't get
I'm
to the
real
other colleges.
familiar with shoot. Uh, I mean, I can't think of his name, but he's the one that started Tuskegee, George
Yeah, there's
Washington
lots of
Carver.
them. Yeah, there were hundreds of them. Now there's 108 right now currently operating 2019. And I
Booker
say
T.
that to say
Washington.
that not one of them has ever had an active shooter. Not one, ever.
Wow.
There's also never been an active shooter in any high school or college in any city where where it's an urban community. Not one city high school has ever had an active shooter. Not one gang member from any gang has ever gone to a Christian church or a mosque or a synagogue and shot the people inside. Not one.
Yeah.
So when we talk about urban crime and urban gangs and urban anything, remember, we are talking about minor things, personal things. Okay? 50% of all the violence and crime you ever hear about in a city is just like it is in the country. It's personal. It's over woman disputes, it's over land disputes, and it's over economic disputes that were not managed by an outside entity. So when police fail to provide a structure or a tribe of council elders decide that there's no way to negotiate some type of appropriate, manageable conditions for abuse or someone who feels that they've been wronged, then may seek retribution. 50% of the violence you ever hear about is retribution based in every city.
Well, Dale, we kind of agreed to an hour-long interview. We're almost there at this point. We haven't really even covered any of the stuff that I wanted to get to a large degree. I mean, this has been a very interesting conversation, to say the least.
Actually,
always learning. But
everything I just said, man, is right in there. Yeah.
Do you want to go another half hour or so?
Yeah, you have all this is related to your subject. You can't have the other subject without this. You know what I'm saying? It's literally
I
possible.
agree. I'm with you.
It's like trying to talk about Mexico or why they speak Spanish or why they're Catholics without understanding Spain and what they did to make them that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the concept is ludicrous. You know what I mean? For us as people to discuss the result of a thing without discussing the conditions that created it.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Right. How can I tell you? I mean, seriously, it's very crazy. Like, this is what I'm getting from a lot of libertarians, anarchists, and other people. They want to talk about the outcome without understanding anything that created it. You know what I mean? And so therefore we can't grow. So there's no way to grow without that part. For example, if you try to go make money like me, not only are you an idiot, you're probably gonna get killed. Like, you're just trying to make my money. You're like, fuck it, I'm going to do a threat manager, go out there and go do shit. You're going to get your head blown out, okay? And you're going to go to prison.
Yeah, well, that's why we're talking to you.
You're going to go to prison and you're going to get your head blown out. You can't be me. What you have to do is understand the mission. You understand how it works. You understand how it could work for everyone, right? But it's a system, okay? But that system is based on the understanding of human behavior, not understanding money.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how many millions I make. That money came from an outcome. That outcome is only possible once you understand the human story.
Yes.
Which people don't want to hear. They want to hear about the money. They're like, okay, so you charge them how much? I don't charge them shit. What I do is hide in Mexico because some dumb shit happened, and I didn't know, and I have to hide in Mexico because I messed up back in my hometown of wherever Stan, America. So the reality is, man, if you don't understand that everything I created was out of love for humanity, everything I created was out of love for humanity, not money. I lost millions just helping people. And I was starving. I had to starve to make this happen, man. So it's very disrespectful to me when people say, oh, you're making money. No, I made a difference that made money. Okay? That's a totally different thing. I never made money. I made a difference. The money came from the difference that was made.
I think we're on the same page. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to be misunderstood. I mean,
No, but you'll hear a lot of people talk about threat management. They're talking about the money or whatever, and
Yeah.
then what they
No,
need to understand is you can focus on on what actually makes this legitimate and appropriate, which is the fact that it actually creates peace.
that's
The
it.
prosperity
That's
is
it.
a byproduct.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no profit in violence. There's no profit in making the state the enemy, the police your enemy. The police and the state are not your enemy. You are your own worst enemy more than anyone. And without some kind of functional structure, you're not going to be able to make a systemic difference. Because, this is one of the things I've noticed. A lot of times people don't understand there's very violent, bad people in this
Yeah.
world. Okay,
Yep.
very. The only difference between them and your enslavement is some type of larger governing body. Okay, even if you don't see it, it's the fact that it exists. Right. So, for
Well,
example,
I'm not so sure.
for
We
example,
might
yeah, I
disagree
know,
in
but
that area.
you don't have the experience. Yeah, I understand, but you don't have the experience. I have the experience. I'm the one who goes and protects families. You don't do that. You're not the guy that goes in the middle of the night to whatever country town and has to go protect people.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not that guy, but you could be that guy. Someone could call you right now, say, come to my Mexican town, come to my American town, come protect me. But you're not going to go there. And that's also because you don't want to die there. And that's the first thing you have to agree to do when you're going to protect someone is die for them.
Yeah.
It's a very real responsibility to someone who's going to protect. The ability to believe that your death is of zero value unless it's for protection of other people's lives.
Yeah.
So the love of others has to
I
supersede your love of yourself. What's that?
I don't want to have a misunderstanding. I mean,
Yeah.
I have a great deal of respect for exactly what you're saying there.
Yeah.
The knowledge that you've gained, you're doing with the understanding that you're putting your life on the line, and that's a really
For no money.
deep.
For no money. Let me be clear.
Yeah.
For no,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. For negative money. Understand? I spent my
Yeah.
own money to go protect those families.
Yeah.
I
So
made those
I
families
think
in hotels on my own dime. Okay.
yeah. So
So understand that people
so
try to
I'm
discuss the money. It's very disrespectful.
okay. Well, I'm saying that I definitely respect what
Mm-hmm.
with the level of knowledge that you're gaining and the experience that you've had is greatly admired in my mind,
Thank you.
and I'm certainly not one that is motivated at, by money as being is the primary motive.
Right.
I do understand what you're saying about love being a great deal much more of a motivator than money.
Well,
And
yeah.
yeah,
Well, I
and
mean,
that's
at the end
another
of the
thing
day,
that
man.
I greatly respect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the thing is that people, I could deliver pizzas without love. I could. Of course, with love, it'd probably be better pizza. But when you're talking about protecting someone's life, love is not an option. You have to literally love humanity more than you love the humanity of others, right? You have to love other people more than you love yourself. Because at that moment, when someone comes to kill them, you have to put yourself between them and their target, the target and the actual victim, intended victim. And these are normally women, children, old people. Okay, they're not, drug lords or I don't work for those kinds of people. I work for I provide protective services for regular people, and they have no money. Okay, so let me say this: I pay to protect them. Think about that. But here's what I'm proud of: none of the people that ever came to me for assistance are dead. None of them. None of them for 25 years. That's what I'm proud of. And so the money that I needed to make this happen on a larger scale is what the business side is to support. It's not the reverse. So a lot of times what's happening is people are saying, oh, look, this security firm, not. Think about how dumb that is. You think security guards can do something like the police can't do? That's just stupid. That's just stupid. So let me say this right. You take some ignorant people with less training, less knowledge, and what's worse, give them guns. They're going to be better than cops. That's insane. So why don't you just give the cops less training and see what happens? So, I mean, that doesn't make any sense. But that's exactly what the narrative is right now, right? So it's like, well, threat management, they charge less money. Would you stop? I don't charge less money. $1 a minute is more money. There's no such thing as $1 a minute police officer. 99% of all police get less than not $1 a minute. That's what we charge. Okay, that's for the car. That's not for the car. That's for the man. The car's another dollar a minute. That's $120 an hour.
Yeah.
There's very few cops making $120 an hour in the world. Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah, I volunteer for poor people and I charge rich people a lot of money. And that security firm is our partner. Threat management is a school, and those two things are not. Threat management's a system, so we could take
Yeah.
that system to Mexico, and we can open schools where people learn how to get along with each other and police and make their community safer through nonviolent education, right? Um,
Yes.
but it's not. You're not going to do it with guns. Guns aren't going to make it safer. There's lots of guns in Mexico. You don't need more guns. There's
Right.
guns all over Detroit. You don't need more
Well,
guns.
that's another thing that I think is a really important message that you're bringing is that it's not about the guns. It's about using your mind.
Yes, and about peace, man. So when you look at your crazy cousin or nephew or aunt or uncle, you could kill them because they made you angry and threaten you at, a meal and threaten you at a family reunion or something. Or
Yeah.
you can say, you know what, my crazy uncle's drunk or high or upset or he has mental problems or emotional issues or whatever. And you might
Yeah.
even tackle your family member if they were out of control, they have a knife and they're threatening people or, family disputes. You're not going to go around trying to figure out how to kill your family member. You're just not going to do
Yeah.
that. I mean, you'd rather just run away from them. Just say, Uncle, put the knife down or stop shooting or something. You don't want to
Yes.
kill your family. So you have to start with
Yes.
not wanting to kill humans in order for you to create peace. You have to not want to kill them. So
Yeah.
that's how you start the conversation of creating peace is not wanting to kill people. The second thing you got to do is train not to kill them. Even if you don't want to hurt someone, if you don't know how, like let's say you don't like to hurt dogs. When the dog tries to kill you and your family, you're going to hurt the dog, okay? You're going to hurt the dog because you don't know any other way. But what if you knew, what the dog whisperer knew? So when the pit bull tried to, or the German shepherd tried to kill your family member, you knew how to, make a noise and distract the dog. And, what if you knew
Yes.
that? What if there was a way for you to know what to do to manage a violent dog so the dog doesn't kill you and your family and so you don't have to kill the dog? Well, that's what I
Yeah.
did was create a system for knowing, right? How can we
Yes.
communicate with people to create the peace, create positive interaction, not adversarially, and create nonviolent outcomes, even though you can use force legally, even though you can morally, explain why you had to, use force and violence. What if we could show you how to not use violence? What if we could show you how to, even if you had to take someone down, how to do it without hurting them? And then we've
Yes.
actually done it many, many, many times. Okay, so it's not like it's not a theory here. So that's what I'm proud of, man. Is we can actually get the word out to Mexico and other places. There is a way to create a peaceful community. And guess what? Where there's peace, there's prosperity for the community and the corporation. So
Yeah.
everyone's a winner. The police get their peace, the city gets their peace, taxes, and the people get what they want, which is prosperity, and they want peace. So, but prosperity without peace, nobody wants that. Believe me. You might think you want that, but I assure you, if you're prosperous and not in a peaceful condition and safe, you're very unhappy.
Yeah.
Uh, so many people right before they die that are rich are very unhappy as they realize that people coming to kill them are either wanting their wealth or don't have wealth or already have too much wealth but want add their wealth to them. And the concept of poor people being this violent thing is just that's not true. That would be like trying to blame the Catholic Church for the Holy Roman Empire. It wasn't the church; it's the people. Um, you don't blame the governments or gods or guns for the behavior of humans.
Yes.
There were thousands of people, and there still are people being lynched in the United States that are Americans of African captive heritage. And guess what? If you outlawed ropes, it wouldn't save anyone's life, then or now. Okay, ropes are not the problem. It doesn't matter which skin color you have, because guess what? The governor of Texas that was in charge when Santa Anna was defeated authorized the killing of Mexican families along the Rio Grande. Did you know that? And he himself was Mexican.
This is when Texas became a
In Texas.
state. And,
Yep, and defeated Santa Anna. All
yeah.
the
Yeah.
Mexicans that owned the land on the Rio Grande were murdered, and their land was taken by European Americans, authorized by the governor who was also Mexican. So skin color and ethnic origin is not a moral compass or grouping. It never was. Americans of European heritage fought in Europe before they were European. They had castles and they had regions and they had areas. They were still fighting. There was no before, so you can't bring Christianity. You can't say, well, European Christians had World War I, World War II. Yes, they did, but guess what? They were actually at war before they were Christians. So
Yeah.
to blame Christianity for World War I and World War II would be inappropriate because that would have happened without Christianity anyway. And so it's not the religion. So blaming God is not it's not appropriate for figuring out why humans are attacking other humans. It's just something we can change by simply believing we shouldn't be attacking each other. So that's my point of the whole organization is, you know what? We're going to show you how not to kill people. Anti-kill philosophy. How do I create safety for my community, my corporation? How do I do it? And then what is the byproduct? The byproduct, and this is my big point, is prosperity for everyone, literally. And I mean literally.
Yes.
You know what happens when criminals don't get a chance to attack someone? They don't go to prison. When they don't go to prison, guess what happens to criminals? They are more successful in life, and we don't have to pay $100,000, $50,000 to house them in a jail. So preventing crime actually helps criminals as much as it helps the regular people that were going to be their victims. So it's prosperous for everyone. And who wins when property value goes up? The people getting the taxes, which is the city, state, and government, which means they also have a vested interest in not having violence if they were shown that path, just like the people. So when I talk to people and they say, well, if someone came to my house, you're going to get them, right? And I go, no, I'm going to get them out of your house. The only way we touch people is if they are actually physically trying to attack someone or us, right?
Yeah.
We don't touch people otherwise. So if someone wants to steal a physical item, we take a video, we tell them to get out of here. We tell them to drop it. If they'll drop it, that's fine. Usually they drop it, to be honest with you, back when they used to do that. They don't come around us anymore. It's very rare. They run from us when they see us coming. But let's say that the criminals, when they let's say they decide to take something, we're not going to fight them over an insured item. It's not going to happen. Violence over property is stupid. And so in America, I explain to people, they love the concept of that, right? You shoot them on your property, beat them up, take them into custody. I said, okay, well, if we take them into custody, you do understand you got to pay us court time. Let me explain how much court time is. It's thousands from you, okay? So I think you need to think about that when you talk about your television, your $2,000 TV. I want you to think about you're going to spend at least $10,000 in some court time. I don't think you want that. And then let's say there's injuries and deaths. You do know you're the property owner, which means you're culpable and accountable civilly for any damages to people on your property. This is not the state. We don't work for the government, which means you are responsible and I'm responsible for anyone injured on your property, even if they were doing crime. They don't understand that. So I explain, they're like, really? I got to pay for their wounds? Yes. And if they're injured, you got to pay for injuries. If they damage themselves, you got to pay for that. So it's peaceful. Being peaceful is positive, and it's also prosperous in every way. That's the big picture here. And the prosperity, there's a direct correlation between prosperity and protection does not oppressive. Protection does not have anything to do with enforcing laws. Protection has nothing to do with depriving people of rights. If it's done properly, you're actually helping people, okay? And that's my point about threat management. Threat management is how you use positive interaction to create positive outcomes, and the result of which is prosperity for the community, the families, the corporations, and the city and the country itself.
That's wonderful.
And it's very, very easy it's with training. It's something everyone can do. You don't need special government funding. You don't need weapons. You don't need to be a ninja, right? It's psychologically based and biomechanically based. Okay. So when I took people into custody that were 350, 400 pounds, it's twice my size. They were bigger than me. They're numerically superior to me. I had to, deal with violent people often, and I had to do it in such a way that I dominate them without injuring them. Okay, I'm a private citizen, so I need to not hurt them. Not that I couldn't hurt them, I can, of course, but I would like to not hurt them, not because I'm nice, but also because, guess what? You have to pay for those injuries. They can sue you for the damage to their person, okay? So on top of being good and nice, it's nice not to hurt people, it's also profitable not to hurt people. It leads to no court date. So what we do is talk about how do we build a community, a corporation? How do we create conditions where the criminal element doesn't feel like even entering? How do we deny them the opportunity from feeling like coming into this corporation, into this community? And it's possible. it's all possible and plausible if you use psychology. You can create a safer Anarchapulco events and locations. It's possible, and has nothing to do with being offensive. It has nothing to do with being intrusive. It has to do with training staff to identify and recognize threat conditions by understanding praxeology, understanding how people behave when they have predatory conditions subconsciously giving you signals that they're going to do something ahead of time. You want to read their body language so you can be ahead of their behavior. And then instead of figuring out how to use that information to attack the person, you use this forward knowledge to create a peaceful outcome. And that can be done by how you approach them and how you de-escalate them, and then lead them away. So we have an entire system that we teach, and that's what I hope to do in Anarchapulco, is to teach how to use de-escalatory threat management, how to teach people how they can help manage their own conditions, creating the safety for themselves, their family, their community, and do it in a nonviolent way. And ultimately, as a result of that threat management done properly, you create a prosperous, positive, peaceful environment.
So, in regard to Anarchapulco and your participation here, where are we at this point? Are we still in negotiation?
Yeah, we're talking. We sent over some information, and then they're going to contact us back shortly, and we're going to keep that going and get this all shored up. Okay, and we'll make the plans to come down there. So we're going to put it together. But I'm going to put together some different options.
Are you going to do some training of the staff? Are you going to you're going to offer some workshops while you're down here?
Yes, all that. Okay. I'm about to put all that together, and any support you can give for that would be great, because what we want to do is the whole point is to get, and this is why I like Anarchapulco, you get people to think outside the box. Even if everyone doesn't agree, it's fine. Just a lot of people are thinking differently. You know what I mean? You have to think different if you want different outcomes, man. I don't care what your subject is. Let's start with people that don't want to do things the exact same way as before. Right. Well, that's what I found, and that's my connection to the people that are attracted to Anarchapulco, is that if you think about the concept of what I do and what I've done, I do not allow anything to interfere with the objective. Okay. And I did at one point, and that did not go well. So if you're doing the right thing, that's all you got to worry about. Just do the right thing. Do the thing that's good for everyone, and you'll be able to make it happen. Yeah. The problem is when people, they want to get caught up in a singular vision. And what I say is that, use all aspects of your conditions for your advantage. And what I can say is that people that try to use government as the foundation of their success will find that is often very limiting. As you can see, Donald Trump is in power because he hates government, and he is the enemy of government. And he is the embodiment of.
I think that's what he says. I don't necessarily.
No, sure. Yeah, he's doing everything. He is the antichrist of government. He is now in control of the ultimate, which is really interesting. I know he's shocked, but at the end of the day, people are learning that here's this guy who doesn't obey any rules. He doesn't pay his employees. He doesn't do anything he's supposed to do as a moral person. He doesn't care about anything, and somehow he's able to prosper. And that is because he thinks outside the box and doesn't pay his bills and doesn't pay people when he's supposed to. And, it's very inappropriate to people, but the other people are trying to think inside the box. You know what I mean? How's an inside the box person going to defeat a person who thinks outside the box?
Yeah.
It's going to be very difficult, Well, luckily the world thought differently and defeated Hitler. That's good. Defeating Hitler required people to think outside that box. unless they just moved him to Argentina, which may have happened.
I think you're probably right there. One of the things that you mentioned is like effectively like people taking advantage, or like the criminal and the people that understand how to use violence and coercion and so forth, take advantage of people that are unaware, for the most part, of their own weaknesses. And is that something where you're teaching people to be aware of those weaknesses that they're unaware of, or is it just
Well,
facilitating
humans.
some people being aware of that?
Well, remember, the majority of people that kill you, rape you, rob you are people that you know. Okay, it's very little stranger danger. So keep that in
Yeah.
mind. The average killer of a child is their parents, and so these concepts of who's going to hurt you and who to protect yourself from, are really predicated upon a false thought process that there's some
Okay.
alien boogeyman somewhere, right? Most people that are going to harm you are people that know you. So after that, do you have psychopaths and crazy people in the area and sociopaths? Absolutely. And they usually are running churches and successful businesses, and they're usually charismatic and secret organizations, all kinds of crazy crap. And
Yes.
so if you don't know that, you think you're just part of a special, snake cult. That Jesus allows you to put your head in the area with snakes or something. But
Yeah.
but the reality is, once you understand what to look for, you can arm yourself with the ability to avoid being a part of cults and organizations that are counterproductive for human cohesion in positive ways. And also understanding how to read situations and conditions to create positive interactions and positive outcomes means that predators can't get in a position to harm you and your family. And so a lot of what we teach is about psychology. How do you read human beings' behaviors, and how do you protect yourself from them? And in a non-adversarial way. So instead of like creating a condition where, hold on.